My husband, Marcus Taylor, and his cherished first love, Chloe Miller, were holding their 9th wedding. This time, he demanded that I, his wife, kneel and perform a forced tea ceremony for Chloe. When I refused, Chloe grinned, producing a video. On the screen, my 12-year-old Mittens was clutched by the neck beneath her large Maine Coon, letting out piteous wails. Grace Anderson, I heard this old cat is a keepsake from your parents. You wouldn't want anything to happen to it, would you? Gritting my teeth, I knelt properly before Chloe, offering the tea with both hands. Too hot. Too cold. No taste. Cup after cup of tea was splashed all over my head and face by Chloe, while Marcus Taylor, with his arm around her, commented with keen interest. Grace Anderson, aren't you supposed to be good at attending to people? You managed to get my mother to agree to our marriage and force me to wed you. Why can't you do it today? As the solid gold serving set struck my forehead, a thought flickered through my mind, recalling the 3-year agreement with the Taylor family. This 3-year agreement had finally come to an end. I was free. The ceremony is complete, escort them to the honeymoon suite. As the MC's deliberately drawn-out voice filled the air, Marcus Taylor's friends rose to offer their blessings. Marcus, you've held 9 weddings with Chloe in different countries over the years. How incredibly romantic. Marcus and Grace have been married 9 times, and each time, the legitimate wife has been there. What a lucky man. Hearing the name Grace, Chloe Miller's face instantly hardened. Grace, I know you're unhappy, but for you to let them say such things at my wedding, isn't that going too far? I wanted to explain, but before I could open my mouth, a heavy slap landed on my face. I knew you scheming manipulator, would find ways to ruin Chloe's mood. I was prepared for you, Grace Anderson. I brought that old cat abroad with me. If you want it to return alive, then obediently serve Chloe well. My words of explanation instantly caught in my throat, transforming into a bitter silence. I knew Marcus Taylor's true nature well. The first time he and Chloe held a wedding, he forced me to be her bridesmaid. When I refused, Marcus Taylor burned down the dilapidated mansion my family left me. At their 5th wedding, they made me the flower girl, carrying the ring box like a dog to Chloe. I refused, and Marcus Taylor, right in front of me, skinned and dismembered my parents' pet dog, turning it into a hot pot. Now, there wasn't much left of my parents' belongings. And my 3-year agreement with the Taylor family had only 3 days left until the deadline. Just a little longer, and I would be free. A tear involuntarily escaped the corner of my eye. Chloe's lips curled into a sarcastic smile, and she poked my head with her fingernail. You, a gold digger who schemed your way into bed, do you even have the right to cry in front of me? Marcus, she's deliberately crying on our wedding day to bring bad luck. I want to punish her by making her our maid for the day, to attend to us in the honeymoon suite. Their friends burst into laughter, egging them on, saying I would surely obey. Just then, I caught sight of the antique family ring on Chloe's finger, and my pupils instantly dilated. That was the wedding ring my parents had custom-made when they married, engraved with their names, the only pair in existence. One of them shattered when my parents died, the other, I had carefully entrusted to Marcus Taylor on our wedding night. He said he would always wear it close to him. Who allowed you to wear my ring? Chloe flinched as if startled, her eyes instantly welling up. Of course Marcus allowed it. Who else could have? Marcus Taylor, with a stiff face, pulled Chloe into his embrace, took off the ring, and flung it out the door. Trash even a dog wouldn't want, and you dare yell at my Chloe for it? Grace Anderson. How many times do you need to be punished before you understand your place? I gritted my teeth and tried to get up to retrieve it, but a heavy kick landed on my lower back, sending me flying forward. My head hit the corner of a table, and blood flowed profusely. Yet, my injury failed to elicit any sympathy from Marcus Taylor. He merely frowned, comforting Chloe, who was crying in his arms. Stop pretending. Who are you putting on this deeply in love act for? Grace Anderson, you shamelessly clung to the Taylor family by scheming your way into bed. Whether it's for your parents' legacy or my family's status, you know better than anyone. I didn't look back. As I wiped away the blood obstructing my vision, I saw a car speeding by. It crushed the ring into which I had poured all my youthful hopes. Chapter 2. Chloe gently tugged Marcus Taylor's sleeve. All right, Marcus, don't let that wretched woman upset you. I specially wore my red lace lingerie today. Let's look forward to the honeymoon suite. Amidst the shouts for post-rituals, Marcus Taylor pushed me, whose wounds had just been dressed, towards the groomsmen. What a coincidence. You want to play post-wedding games, and I just happen to have someone to spare. Marcus is generous. Afraid we'd hurt Ms. Miller during the games, so he brought a spare. Watching me, surrounded and groped by the crowd, Marcus Taylor didn't even frown. What is she? Just a manipulative woman from the inner quarters. How could she compare to Chloe? Their friends openly mocked, and some even took the opportunity to tear at my wedding attire. Tears of humiliation welled in my eyes. Perhaps his heart softened, as Marcus Taylor suddenly raised a hand. Alright, don't go too far. It's getting late, I'll send you all home. Saying this, he took Chloe's hand and walked with her to bid farewell to their guests. My position was awkward. I stood there, adjusting my torn clothes. A cold glint flashed in Chloe's eyes, and she pouted. Sister. Seems unhappy, doesn't she? Did we go too far just now? I should apologize to her. Marcus Taylor looked at me, unsure where to put my hands and feet, and frowned fiercely. You, who so desperately wanted to be a Taylor family daughter-in-law that you even resorted to drugging. Is this the dignity of a true wife? I got up before he could say anything worse, walking expressionlessly to the door. Just then, a commotion erupted in the crowd, and several gunshots rang out nearby. Marcus Taylor's pupils contracted sharply. He quickly pulled Chloe into his embrace, then instinctively pushed me, who was standing stunned, in front of her. Caught off guard, I tried to dodge, but Chloe kicked me hard in the back of my knee. My body lurched uncontrollably, sending me tumbling towards the edge of the crowd. Everyone screamed and scattered. Only when the gunshots faded into silence did someone belatedly remember me. Marcus, she's bleeding so much. Is she going to be okay? Marcus Taylor's gaze shifted from the startled Chloe to me, and a flicker of distress actually passed through his eyes. I forbid you to get hurt. You have to hold on. My right shoulder was pierced by a bullet, and I trembled uncontrollably from the pain. Marcus Taylor anxiously undid his wedding attire, just starting to drape it over me, when Chloe suddenly cried and knelt before me. Sister, I know you've relied on the Taylor family's support to establish your own influence abroad these past few years, but you can't hire people to stage an attack at the wedding. You resent me for having Marcus's love, but did you think about how dangerous this is? Aren't you afraid of hurting Marcus? You're already Mrs. Taylor. What I have is just an illusion. Are you so cruel that you won't even share a little bit of happiness with me? Marcus Taylor's motion of draping the clothes over me froze. His knuckles turned white, and then he abruptly pulled his hand back. Grace Anderson, you've grown quite bold, didn't I warn you about the consequences of playing tricks with me? Worried about Mittens, afraid he'd act impulsively and do something I'd regret, I forced my body to endure the intense pain, collapsing at the enraged Marcus Taylor's feet. It wasn't me, Chloe snorted coldly, kicking my wounded right shoulder. Everyone knows the Taylor family's status. If it wasn't you, who else would dare offend Marcus? My vision went black from the pain, and involuntary tears streamed down my face. Marcus Taylor, it wasn't me. Don't hurt my cat. After saying that, my vision went black, and I could no longer bear the pain, falling unconscious. Chapter 3. When I regained consciousness, I had already been moved to a hospital room. The nurse, seeing me awake, looked at me with concern. You're severely injured and need a large amount of anesthetic and painkillers. But if we administer the medication, we'll have to remove the fetus in your abdomen. I thought for a long time before I understood what she meant. In my belly, there was a baby, Marcus Taylor's and mine. My hand involuntarily caressed my lower abdomen, and my tears streamed down uncontrollably again. Marcus Taylor used to love me very much. So much so that he had arranged a nursery for our non-existent child early on. But now that a child had truly arrived, there was no turning back for us. Why bring such an unwanted child into this world to suffer? Without hesitation, I nodded directly. Take it out. When I woke up again, it was 2 days later. My body was wrapped in thick bandages. I painstakingly managed to open my phone. Marcus Taylor hadn't sent any messages, only a few from Mrs. Taylor. Grace, I heard Marcus was acting out again. Don't worry, once he's back in the country, I'll deal with him properly. As for Chloe, she poses no threat to you. Just focus on being Mrs. Taylor. That kind of woman will never enter the Taylor family's gates. A mocking smile involuntarily appeared on my lips. All these years, to hell. Her conceal the truth about drugging Marcus. I had endured so much, yet now, she never mentioned our agreement. One more day until the 3-year agreement expires. I hope you keep your word and return the Anderson family shares to me. Almost as soon as I pressed send, Marcus Taylor, who had ignored me completely, called. Grace Anderson, you're slandering Chloe again behind her back. Why do you never learn to be sensible? Wouldn't it be better to just be a compliant accessory, like other wives? Why do you constantly dance on my landmines? Do you know my mother just threatened Chloe and told her to behave herself? In the background of the call, I heard Chloe's soft sobs. Marcus, I'm fine. I never delusionally imagined marrying into the Taylor family. I just want to stay by your side longer. I'm not as capable as Grace, with her high education and charming ways. I'm just a failure she personally caused to be delayed in graduation. I'm not worthy. My head buzzed. Yes, Chloe was once my student, my most brilliant student. And that delayed graduation was a turning point in both our lives. Sure enough, Marcus Taylor thought the same as I did and immediately erupted in rage. Even through the phone, I could imagine the veins bulging in his neck. Grace Anderson, you destroyed everything Chloe had to insult her, and now you want to destroy her chance to stay by my side. I don't mind making you regret it. You have 10 minutes to appear before me and apologize to Chloe, or else, think about your old cat. He hadn't finished his sentence when I already jumped out of bed, ripped off the tubes attached to me, and rushed out recklessly. After my parents passed away, I lost everything, falling from a favored daughter into disgrace. Only Buddy and Mitten stayed with me. I had grown up, and my cat and dog were old and frail. They had been with me my whole life, witnesses to my joys and sorrows. They shouldn't die tragically because of my foolish choices. I arrived at T. He Hotel where they were staying just in time. I reached out, gasping for breath, but what greeted me was Mitten's already stiff body. Chapter 4. Seeing the tears in my eyes, Chloe burst out laughing. She actually believed it. Marcus. Look, her wounds have reopened from running. How disgusting. Marcus Taylor, as usual, looked at me with utter disgust. Hurry up and change into clean clothes. Don't you know Chloe is afraid of blood? Is that so? Was she afraid? Then why wasn't she afraid when she tortured and killed my cat and dog? I stood there motionless, numbly embracing Mitten's blood-stained body. Seeing my inaction, Chloe looked full of displeasure. Marcus, look, she's starting to pretend again, ah. With my injured right arm cradling Mitten's, my left hand slapped Chloe hard across the face. You know perfectly well why you were delayed in graduating. As long as I'm here, you'll never graduate. Chloe clutched her rapidly swelling face, sobbing softly. The next second, Marcus Taylor's palm also struck my face. Harming Chloe right in front of me, you deserve to die. Gasping for air, covered in blood, I looked up and met Marcus Taylor's eyes. You too deserve to die, especially the one who personally drugged you, the Taylor. Before I could finish, Chloe suddenly clutched her stomach and cried out loudly. My baby! Marcus, save our baby! The shock in Marcus Taylor's eyes quickly faded, replaced by the joy and astonishment of a new father. Chloe, is that true? Chloe's cheeks flushed, and she nodded shyly and timidly. It's almost 3 months. I was going to wait until the pregnancy was stable to tell you. But I never imagined Grace Anderson would be so cruel as to beat me. Now my stomach hurts so much. Marcus, save our baby. Marcus Taylor carefully, like he was holding a precious treasure, picked up Chloe, then glared at me fiercely. Grace Anderson, you kneel here obediently and pray. If anything happens to Chloe, I'll destroy everything your pair NTS left you. Everything? Feeling Mitten's stiff body in my arms, I booked a plane ticket without hesitation. Marcus Taylor, the mansion my parents left me was burned down by you. My cat and dog died in front of me. Even that antique family ring became fragments. Now, apart from the Anderson family shares in your mother's possession, as per our agreement, there's nothing left of my family that you can destroy. Marcus Taylor was full of joy and hadn't let go of Chloe the entire way. However, the nurse looked utterly shocked at the sight of the happy couple. Mr. Taylor, are you Ms. Anderson's family? She went missing right after her stitches and abortion. The whole hospital is frantic right now. Instead of helping find her, what are you doing? Marcus Taylor's arm involuntarily tightened around Chloe, so much so that he didn't notice her cry out in pain. What did you say? She was pregnant, and she had an abortion? That's impossible. Tell me, how much did Grace Anderson pay you to lie to me? The nurse's eyes nearly popped out of her head as she anxiously flipped through the patient's file. Are you truly Ms. Grace Anderson's family? Letting a pregnant woman suffer such severe injuries, abandoning her, and now saying such things, I have reasonable doubts about your identity. Marcus Taylor was rarely questioned like this. As if to prove himself, he rushed to the car to search for his documents. But when he held the marriage certificate in his hand, he suddenly froze. Because he had just remembered that not long ago, to make Chloe happy, he had threatened my parents' legacy and already exchanged their marriage certificate for a divorce certificate. They were no longer husband and wife. Chapter 5. Marcus Taylor was agitated and annoyed. He angrily tore the divorce certificate to shreds and flung it out the car window. So what if they were divorced? A woman like Grace Anderson was too opportunistic. She'd even resorted to drugging and seducing her way into his bed to scheme for the position of Mrs. Taylor. She wouldn't actually leave because of a piece of paper. But that poor child. Marcus Taylor sighed. If he hadn't pushed Grace Anderson out to shield Chloe from the bullet, would the baby still be alive? But the killer was arranged by Grace Anderson herself. She had brought this upon herself. In a trance, Marcus Taylor recalled the last look Grace Anderson had given him. It wasn't like love, nor was it like hatred. It was like a plain burned bare by a great fire, so empty it was barren. An inexplicable nervousness welled up in his heart. Marcus Taylor hesitated, then pulled out his phone and sent a few friends to check on her. Check on Grace Anderson. If she looks unwell, send her back to the hospital immediately. After receiving the reply, the knot in Marcus Taylor's heart loosened somewhat. This damn woman. He had liked her so much back then, almost ready to beg his parents to let her marry him. Marcus Taylor had even thought that if his parents wouldn't agree, he would kneel indefinitely. He was willing to do it for the original Grace. But what about Grace Anderson? She had impatiently drugged him after a family gathering, causing him to lose all dignity and become the laughingstock of all Eastwood City. Out of consideration for their years together, he had forgiven her and given her all the dignity she deserved, as she wished. But after they married, he had simply sponsored a few students, with no improper intentions whatsoever. Yet this damn Grace Anderson had deliberately sabotaged Chloe's graduation thesis out of jealousy and slandered Chloe, causing her to slash her wrists in an attempt to commit suicide. Although he had developed feelings for the fragile Chloe in the process, if Grace Anderson hadn't acted maliciously first, how could he have done so? Recalling the harm Grace Anderson had inflicted on Chloe and the faint and deep cuts on Chloe's wrist, Marcus Taylor's heart wavered. He had put Chloe on a pedestal these past years, humiliating Grace Anderson repeatedly in public. This punishment was probably enough. In the future, if Grace Anderson could learn to be docile and coexist peacefully with Chloe, he would give her another child. Anyway, a woman who only cares about status and profit like her would never leave the Taylor family. Marcus Taylor thought this, letting out a long sigh of relief, finally feeling at ease. Chloe, who had been ignored for a long time, immediately nestled into Marcus Taylor's embrace. Marcus, don't worry about her. She brought it upon herself. Your child with her is gone, but our child is still safe and sound. Saying this, Chloe took Marcus Taylor's hand and placed it on her lower abdomen. However, the next second, a sharp phone ring abruptly pierced the air. Marcus, it's bad. Grace is missing. We've searched the entire hotel. We only found a pool of blood in your room. Marcus Taylor's hand on Chloe's body suddenly trembled uncontrollably, like a spasm from overexertion. This damn woman, why did she have to disappear at a time like this? Find her. Turn the world upside down if you have to, but bring her back. After hanging up the phone, Marcus Taylor's entire body was still trembling slightly. A flicker of regret suddenly crossed his mind. He only meant to scare her. Why did he actually destroy the things she cared about? Chloe, who had relentlessly tortured and killed the cat and dog, had no idea what Marcus Taylor was thinking. She only felt that his aura had become terrifying, and she hesitantly leaned her head on Marcus Taylor's shoulder. Marcus, don't be angry. Sister must be throwing a tantrum again. Maybe she's hiding in some corner right now, watching you fret. Chapter 6. Marcus Taylor's tense body suddenly relaxed, and a faint smile played on his lips. Yes, that must be it. This Grace Anderson, if she doesn't come back and apologize soon, at this point, Marcus Taylor suddenly faltered. What would he do? His mind went blank. His hand habitually reached for the pendant around his neck. It was empty. Marcus Taylor's mind automatically replayed Grace Anderson's expression when she used a red string to make the ring into a necklace for him. Grace Anderson's eyes were sparkling, seeming to hold a vast, inexpressible love. But later, at just a word from Chloe, he had personally snapped the red string, allowed Chloe to take it and play with it, and then casually threw it away. It seemed all the things Grace Anderson cared about had already been destroyed by him. And those things were irreplaceable, unique in the world. An inexplicable surge of anxiety came over Marcus Taylor, and he immediately stepped on the gas. He hoped that antique family ring was still there. But so much time had passed. Could he really find it again? Chloe, in the passenger seat, was so anxious her eyes turned red. Marcus, what are you doing? My stomach hurts. Did you forget? Marcus Taylor slammed on the brakes and leaned over. A hint of shyness flashed across Chloe's face, and she slightly closed her eyes, waiting for Marcus Taylor's kiss. However, Marcus Taylor avoided her, simply pushing open the passenger door. "If your stomach hurts, go get it checked. What good does telling me do?" As Marcus Taylor mobilized everyone to search for the ring, I had already returned to the Taylor estate. Seeing the blood on my clothes and Mitten's body in my arms, Mrs. Taylor's pupils contracted sharply. All her words of persuasion caught in her throat. She knew that, no matter what, the Taylor family couldn't keep me anymore. When I was in my second year of high school, my parents, being too prominent in the business world, were crushed by rivals colluding against them. After the Anderson family's downfall, the Taylor family acquired all the Anderson family's shares. Mrs. Taylor came to me with a contract, asking me to stay with Marcus Taylor, preferably marrying him right after graduation. I was unwilling to agree, but the Anderson Company was my parents' life's work, and I couldn't bear to see their lifetime of effort go to waste. With the Taylor family's help, Marcus Taylor and I studied together all the way through our exams. Mrs. Taylor also grew to admire me more and more. The day she learned I had graduated with my postdoctoral degree and became a professor directly at the university, she feared I would break the agreement. She personally drugged Marcus Taylor's drink, forcing us to consummate the relationship. She knew I was no ordinary person. So she brought a clear, written contract. 3 years. As long as I stayed by Marcus Taylor's side for 3 years as a daughter-in-law of the Taylor family, never leaving his side, she would return all Anderson family shares to me for free. And today, I had finally reached the deadline. Chapter 7. Mrs. Taylor's temples throbbed, and she kept pressing them. "Grace, Marcus is just childish, you know. I've always liked you very much. Besides you, I wouldn't trust anyone else to be the young mistress of the Taylor family." I didn't reply, just stubbornly held out my hand. "Do you know? Marcus Taylor used me to shield Chloe from a bullet, and I just lost our baby. After 2 days in the hospital, he allowed Chloe to kill Mittens." Mrs. Taylor's temples throbbed wildly. After a long while, she finally sighed and handed me the signed share transfer contract. As a reward for her keeping her word, I also gave her a file. It contained evidence that Chloe had bribed a killer to deliberately fire shots at the wedding reception. Mrs. Taylor might not have cared if I lived or died, or what methods Chloe used against me, but she cared about the safety of her only son. She would never allow a woman beside her son to do something that could very likely accidentally injure her own son. After confirming everything, I pulled out a pen, reclaimed the Anderson family shares, and bowed slightly to Mrs. Taylor. She wasn't a good mother-in-law, but she was a good businesswoman. Although her Taylor family was prominent back then, their foundation was unstable. They needed a cultured daughter-in-law to bolster their image. 3 years were enough for her family to transform from nouveau riche into an established family in the public eye. We were merely an exchange, and both of us knew it clearly. At least, she wouldn't be as shameless as Marcus Taylor, who, while claiming to trust me, transferred the right to harm me to the person who hated me most in the world. Carrying Mitten's body and the share contract, I went to my parents' cemetery. Not long ago, Buddy was buried to their left. Today, Mittens was buried to their right. Our family of 5, and I was the only one left alone in the world. After bowing and paying my respects, I returned to the university and submitted my resignation. Everyone stared with wide eyes in shock when they heard I was resigning. "Grace, you're the most dedicated professor in our school. How can you leave? Is it that woman Chloe again, causing Marcus Taylor to make trouble for you? How can a businessman's son not see through Chloe's little schemes? A shameless academic seductress, who transformed into the beloved darling of the Taylor family's eldest son. It's disgusting. Yes, disgusting. Actually, I knew about Chloe when Marcus Taylor first started sponsoring her. She was not only intelligent and eager to learn but also diligent, often coming to help me clean my office. My colleagues used to joke that I was about to have a main disciple. But later, Chloe received more and more sponsorships, her ambition grew, and her mind became increasingly unsettled. To support her luxurious spending, she neglected her studies and went to work as a hostess. I couldn't bear to watch a promising talent fall, so I criticized her multiple times. Later, Chloe neglected too much of her studies. To pass by deception, she connived with a bald, pot-bellied old professor. I was so angry I cried. I not only invalidated her thesis but also gave her a school-wide reprimand. I thought she would turn over a new leaf. For that, I even scheduled a heart-to-heart with her for the next day. But the next day, I saw her in Marcus Taylor's bed. She was disheveled, covered in kiss marks, and mouthed a phrase to me. "You destroyed me, I'll destroy you too." She did it. Truly, she was once the student I admired most. Chapter 8. I went to a distant coastal city. My parents once said that when they had time, they would take me to settle in a place by the sea. No one expected the accident to come so quickly, and I never imagined I would be trapped in the Taylor family for so long. But thankfully, it was all over now. These past few days, Marcus Taylor had been contacting me constantly. From his initial overbearing threats to cautiously softening his stance later. Then, he seemed to have returned to the country and apparently learned everything from Mrs. Taylor. Grace, I didn't know Chloe orchestrated that shooting. I misunderstood you, and I'm very sorry. I know you lost our baby, but we can have more children. Grace, please answer the phone. I want to talk to you in person. I didn't understand his behavior. When I was bound to him, submissive and utterly defenseless, he was lofty and indifferent to me, wishing I were dead, just to bring a smile to Chloe's face. Now that we had no relationship whatsoever, what was it he couldn't let go of? If you feel guilty because of the child, there's no need. Marcus Taylor, I've borne the blame for your mother's drugging all these years. I owe you nothing, and I never want to see you again. What do you mean, Grace Anderson? I've decided to forgive you for what you did, yet you still insist on shifting all the blame onto others, just like before. The drugging was my mother's doing, and the delayed graduation was Chloe's own fault. Are you always so noble? I didn't reply. After a long while, Marcus Taylor began frantically calling my phone. I intended to hang up, but a drop of water on my hand accidentally fell onto the screen, connecting the call. In the call, Marcus Taylor's trembling voice came through. Grace Anderson, I asked her, and she admitted it. Why didn't you tell me sooner, Grace Anderson? It wasn't your doing, why did you take the blame? Why? I asked myself too. Perhaps after losing my parents, I craved love too much, yearned for a warm home. So, when Mrs. Taylor tearfully begged me not to let her son know about her sordid methods, my heart softened. My family was gone. At least, Marcus Taylor should be happy. But now, after bearing her blame for so many years, I was finally tired. On the phone, Marcus Taylor rambled on, sobbing uncontrollably. My mother said she knew everything I've done these past years, but she never had the courage to tell me the truth. Grace, I've wronged you. You're even kinder than I imagined. All these years of misunderstanding, I'm truly sorry. Please give me another chance? There was no chance. No more chances. From the moment you were with Chloe, there was no going back for us. Chapter 9. After saying that, I hung up the phone, blocked all Marcus Taylor's contacts, and got a new SIM card. However, as soon as I turned it on, a trending notification on my social media news feed caught my full attention. Taylor family mistress Chloe Miller revealed as academic seductress. I clicked on it. It was a video spontaneously created by my students. The content ranged from personal real name introductions to all the evidence of her scheming to get into bed. At the end of the video, countless students I had taught held up their IDs to the camera, all with righteous indignation on their faces. Professor Anderson cherished Chloe the most during her tenure, even staying up late revising her thesis for her. But Chloe not only became an academic seductress, she also seduced Professor Anderson's husband. That's right, Professor Anderson is kind heart. Edition. She'd rather leave herself than ruin a girl's future. But why? Why does she commit so many evils yet face no consequences? I personally witnessed Chloe and that bald professor enter a hotel together. I even specifically recorded a video. Here's the content. I'm the owner of a tattoo parlor near the university. I remember clearly that girl, Chloe, got cuts similar to self-harm wounds tattooed at my shop. I thought it was just young people following trends, but later I heard Chloe tried to commit suicide, and the young master of the Taylor family raged for a woman's sake. He's stupid to death. Still acting like a young master? His judgment will sooner or later lead him to lose all his family's assets. Chloe was completely unaware of all this. She only knew that she had pushed me out, caused me to lose my child, and injured my right hand, leaving me with a permanent disability. She placed her hands on her lower abdomen, fantasizing about Marcus Taylor's exclusive affection for her, fantasizing about gaining status through her child, personally becoming the young mistress of the Taylor family, and forever trampling me, the loser, underfoot. Immersed in her fantasies of the future, a smile played on Chloe's lips as she silently repeated my name. Grace Anderson, I told you, I would destroy you. Make you suffer terribly, lose everything, and experience the pain I went through. When she opened her eyes again, she saw Marcus Taylor standing beside her. Marcus Taylor stared at Chloe with icy eyes, giving her a start. Marcus, when did you get here? You walked so silently, you almost scared the baby. Saying this, Chloe reached out to hug Marcus Taylor, but he grabbed her arm. She cried out in pain, trying to pull back. Marcus, you're hurting me. In the past, when Chloe acted coquettishly, Marcus Taylor would always feel terribly distressed. His feelings for Chloe were complex. He always felt that if he hadn't kindly sponsored Chloe, Grace Anderson wouldn't have become so jealous, almost causing Chloe to die. Indeed, many times, Marcus Taylor felt that his affection for Chloe was, to a certain extent, him making amends to Grace Anderson. But now, seeing the tattooed scars on Chloe's wrist, Marcus Taylor could no longer suppress his anger. Chloe, you've deceived me terribly. Chloe's face changed, and she immediately became alert. Marcus, what are you saying? I don't understand. Did Grace Anderson say something bad about me to you again? It's okay, I know she hates me. Whatever she says to slander me, I deserve it. After all, I stole your affection, Marcus. I'm fine. Chloe blinked her reddened eyes, looking at Marcus Taylor. Usually, at times like this, Marcus Taylor would soften and put everything behind him. But this time, Marcus Taylor unhesitatingly raised his hand and slapped her hard. You wretched liar, do you really think Grace would think so highly of you as to badmouth you to me? In her eyes, you're just the lowest trash. She wouldn't even bother to look at you. Chloe was completely stunned. Then what do you mean, Marcus? I'm carrying your baby. Marcus Taylor grabbed Chloe by the hair and threw her to the bodyguards outside the door. Take her to the hospital. Abort the child. Hearing Marcus Taylor's words, Chloe startled all over, finally waking from her beautiful fantasy. However, no matter how much she cried and begged for mercy, Marcus Taylor didn't look back at her, not even a single glance. Chapter 10 Marcus Taylor found me. It was true, with the Taylor family's wealth and status, finding someone's whereabouts wasn't difficult. Seeing me from afar, Marcus Taylor's Adam's apple bobbed, and his hands kept rubbing together. I knew this was a nervous habit he often did. I had known it since the day I came to stay with the Taylor family. Because the moment he saw me that day, he became nervous. Grace, it's me. He jogged to block my path, afraid I would just walk away. Actually, I hadn't ended to leave. Some things, even if they were over, still needed to be clarified. I was never a coward. Marcus Taylor, say what you need to say. This is the last time I'll see you. Marcus Taylor's steps faltered, the flicker of hope that had just ignited in his eyes wavered, then suddenly died. His eyes welled up with tears, and he lowered his head in frustration, as if to hide his true emotions from me. Grace, I know everything now. I was wrong in the past. I was too quick to trust others. I shouldn't have doubted you. I shouldn't have hurt you. Grace, for the sake of the many years we've shared, please forgive me this one time, won't you? I calmly shook my head. No, Marcus Taylor, I don't love you anymore. Tears streamed down Marcus Taylor's face. Grace, how can you not love me? You clearly loved me, you gave me your most precious possession. It's impossible for you not to love me. I just smiled. Are you talking about that antique family ring? It was indeed precious, but Marcus Taylor, you were the one who destroyed it. Marcus Taylor shook his head frantically. No, it wasn't my fault. It was all Chloe Miller's doing. If she hadn't deceived me with her smooth words, we wouldn't have come to this point. I've already had her baby aborted, Grace. Without anesthesia. Just to make you happy, I'll inflict everything I ever did to you upon her. Come back to me, let's start over, okay? This time, no one can come between us. I'll make you the happiest woman in the world. The happiest woman in the world? I gave a hollow laugh. Marcus Taylor had said that before, but he quickly forgot. No, Marcus Taylor. You know, Chloe Miller's schemes weren't very clever. I even gave you proof that she lied, that she deliberately approached you, that she intentionally sought revenge on me. But what did you do? You tore it to shreds, threw it in my face, and called me malicious, jealous, and said I deserved to be an orphan. In an instant, Marcus Taylor okayed as if he'd been struck by lightning. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. The unraveling of our relationship didn't start with Chloe Miller. Marcus Taylor, the truth is, from the very beginning, you looked down on me from a high perch, constantly searching for my flaws. You couldn't believe someone could love you flawlessly, so when you discovered what you perceived as a weakness in my soul, you were thrilled, you were excited. You kept testing me, attacking me, trying to break me, to prove my impurity to the whole world, as if that would truly pull me into your world. Yet, the one with the truly flawed soul is you. The one who wavers at the slightest hint of trouble, that's you. You never truly loved me before. Now, out of guilt and anger at being deceived, you're begging me to come back. But Marcus Taylor, there's no point. You and we were never meant to walk the same path from the start. After saying all this, I felt a lightness within me, and I turned to leave. Marcus Taylor stood rooted to the spot for who knows how long, but it no longer mattered to me. Later, I took a position at a school in the coastal city, and at the same time, I began managing the Anderson family enterprise, which had been dormant for years, hoping that what my parents left behind could flourish under my care. Not long after, I saw Chloe Miller's name on the trending topics again. Only this time, it was news of her death. Marcus Taylor kept a pack of wild cats and dogs. He had Chloe Miller's abdomen brutally cut open, allowing the starving wild dogs to tear at her. Chloe Miller met a gruesome end. Marcus Taylor couldn't escape legal retribution. Before his arrest, he wept in front of the cameras, saying he was sorry for what he'd done to me, and instructed his lawyer to transfer all his assets to me. Some envied me, others lamented his fate. But no one knew the torment I had endured. If only it were possible. Never mind, it's not possible. Now, I just want to live my own life well.